thanks so much for visiting us today. You know, you and I have a history together.
Yes, I'm glad to be here too.
Since the late 80s.
Yes.
You've performed for some of the events I've done. I know you're in town for a number of things that have to do with your new album, and also to perform at Frankie's memorial service last
Yes, absolutely.
which was just an unbelievable event and a spectacular performance on your part. Tell us a little bit, if you can, about your history with Frankie.
My relationship with Frankie started with the group Sounds of Blackness, late 80s, early 90s. The project was The Evolution of Gospel, and The Pressure, the song The Pressure, was one of the first dance songs on that project. And Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis had a relationship with Frankie Knuckles, and they always told him they wanted him to do something with some of their music. And when they heard The Pressure and how I related The Troubles of the World, which was a Mahalia Jackson song, and how I tied that spiritual into that dance song at the time, they said that Frankie would be able to handle it because he had that kind of spirit and he would know exactly what to do for it. And then the rest is history. Once Frankie remixed this song, we went to the shelter, the first time I ever sang it live. And when we started singing that song, it was pandemonium in the club. And Frankie told me then, he said, this song is going to carry you through your career. He said, because this is going to be a classic. Me being in that dance place, we came together in Amsterdam, we met in Germany, we met in the UK, we met in Japan, and it was always a tearful moment where we hugged each other because I always remembered his words to me about the pressure. And it was that until his memorialized night last night. I got through the song last night, but at the very last note, it was very overwhelming, and I think I had my final moment here on earth with Frankie Knuckles and the pressure.
I'm tearing up now. And that record, I think, was recorded in 1992.
92. Actually, well, 91.
And that was on Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis's label.
Perspective Records.
That was their record. And, well, you've gone on to do some unbelievable things. And there are so many people in the music business that will last a year or 2 years. Your history it's decades. It's decades
I'm grateful. 25 years in the industry.
Songwriter. Singer.
Absolutely.
Actress.
And you know, the industry, they don't create artists like they did with Motown and Stax. But Perspective Records, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, they were kind of from that era, and they learned from the CEOs of those labels and Clarence Avant to teach their artists about their publishing and writing, and for the longevity of their careers and for the lifeblood of their careers, so that their children will be able to spend their inheritance and collect their intellectual properties as opposed to someone else spending it on their families. So I had the rare privilege of being an artist that was allowed the opportunity on my solo album to write for one of my mentors, Patti LaBelle, and also Gladys Knight, to be able to write for Patti LaBelle because I was a staff writer for Flight Time.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and I had the privilege to write one of Patti LaBelle's first gold records, Right Kind of Lover. Right Kind of Lover, I'll never need another. Sure enough, he's got the stuff. He's the right kind of lover for me. So Patti was coming in for Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, who are prolific songwriters, producers. And Terry came to me. He said, "This will be one of your great moments in your career too." He said, because you'll be able to have capital to exist as a first-time artist, and it'll allow you to be around great artists, to get a chance to pick their brain and understand the industry. And it was very helpful for me in that they introduced me into the room and then allowed me the chance to speak to someone that I grew up loving, and someone that I had kind of brought some of what I'd learned from her into the Ann Nesby style, as I'd done with so many other great artists, Aretha Franklin and Gladys Knight, who I also had the privilege to write with, being with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, one of the songs, Home Alone. So it was a wonderful time for me with Ann and Perspective Records. And that is when I had an opportunity to meet Brad LeBeau. So that brings it right home when we got with Frankie Knuckles and the dance music side. It just kept snowballing. When I did my solo career, here came Can I Get a Witness and all those other dance songs, and having the opportunity to meet you, it opened the door for so many other great things in that genre of music.